bringing up young boys, young men, if you will, to become men. And that's our issues that we've been focusing on. How does that take place? How does that happen? What's the process that takes place in bringing a boy from boyhood up to manhood? Look at the image there on the backdrop for today, and it's a great picture. It's a great illustration. It's a great image because there's Dad and there's son. And someday, that little boy will become that man, we hope. And we talk about ways in which that will happen. But just get an idea here from this picture of that comfort level that the boy is experiencing and looking at the father. He's relaxed, he's safe, he's comfortable, and it's a one-sum, a two-sum that brings together into a one-sum. And that is the connection between a father and a son that we want to create, that you want to create in your home, that you want to create in your relationship with your son as a father. So let that image speak to you. Let that image tell the story. Let that image be your model. Let that image be your example. Let that image be the goal that you're trying to achieve in bringing up your own son in a manner that he will trust you and have comfort with you and just enjoy you and want to be in your presence and want to be just part of your life. That would be the great example. That would be the great outcome of bringing up a boy to become a man. Now, last time we focused on ways in which that can happen by making sure that the home life that you live as a father and as a son, that home life has certain characteristics. That home life has a value that is mutually enjoyed and mutually embraced by all those that live there, but would be a fertile ground, a soil ground for that son to become a man. If you missed the program, go back. This is number 8 today. And if you've missed any of the programs before now, 1 to 8, go back and pick them up. They're all on YouTube and giving the story about how to create a relationship with a young boy so that that boy becomes a man. So that's what we're talking about today, and we've been talking about all 8 sessions that we've had here together so far. So I recommend that to you as you move forward. Now, there's a very important thing to make sure that we understand. And it's often been asking me after a program, we've been talking about people who give me feedback in the program, and really, what is a man? Well, how do we know that we've achieved the manhood that we want to achieve when we talk about bringing up a boy into manhood so that he becomes a man? What is it? What's the characteristic of this person? What does it look like to become a man when you are a little boy and you're trying to bring up that little boy to become that man? What are some of the characteristics that are identified as manhood? We know that that boy has reached manhood when certain characteristics take place. Let me just give you a couple of them. And we'll focus on a little bit more today, a little bit some of the other ones. But here's one. Make sure that your son will always have a sense of needing other people in his life. Not to go it alone, but that we need other people in our life. Men need other people in their life. Boys need other people in their life. That's part of manhood, is to know that you are part of somebody else's life and they are part of your life. It's that togetherness, it's that meeting together, it's that coming together, that depending upon each other that brings you into manhood. Men don't go it alone. A mature man knows that there needs to be a relationship with other people and bringing other people into your life. You need other people, and teach your son that. He'll always need other people in his life, and he has to learn how to trust other people, how to rely upon other people, and how to ask for assistance from other people, and how to welcome other people into his life. That's very important. You need to help your son know that as a father. That's one of your jobs as a father, to teach that. Here's the second one. Your son needs to have a sense of purpose. For what was he born? Why was he created? and put into this world. And what is the purpose of that? That is your job as a father, teaching your son that there is a purpose in life, and there's a purpose in his life, there's a purpose for his life to be fulfilled. And what is it? Now, you may not know what it is as a father. He may have to discover that himself. But to give him that sense that there is a purpose, and we need to discover that purpose, and we need to follow that purpose, and live that purpose, and walk the life of that purpose, and share it with other people. That's number 2. Here's number 3. Men give to other people. Boys need to learn to be giving, to give to other people. Sometimes that's money. You take a portion of your income and you share it with other people. You give it to the church, you give it to a charity of some kind, you give it to some welfare program of some type, you give it to somebody who's in need, whatever it might be. Yes, the giving of money to help somebody else is part of being a man. And you want to teach your kid that process, that when he has income in the form of an allowance or in the form of a part-time job, and then later in life as he earns income, that he'll be a giving and a sharing person with other people from his resources that he has. But sometimes you give your time. Sometimes you give your possessions. Sometimes you just give what you have available to somebody else who needs something. You share something. Let them borrow something. Let them have something. But be a sharing person. Be a giving person to other people, because that's really what's important in life. And men do that. So the lesson for a little boy is watch it. Let him watch you give. Let him experience the giving process. And then give him something so that he can share that with other people as well. Let him be the giving person. And that's teaching giving. That's very, very important. Give to others. And here's the 4th one. Belong with others. Belong with others. You can't go life alone. You need a team. You need to be part of a team. You need to be part of a group. You need to be part of a process that takes place where people work together and accomplish goals. People work together and work and accomplish some kind of an objective of some type. People work together and fulfill a project. You see, we don't go life alone. And you want to be that person that shares your life with other people. Let them share their life with you. You work together with other people as a team, and your son watches that. And then as your son grows and ages, he becomes part of that process himself of being part of a group process, being part of a decision-making process that involves other people. The important thing is that we don't go it alone in life. We go with people, and we benefit from what other people have, and we share our things with them so they benefit, from us. And then number 5, I would say this. You got to have something to give. So we think of money. Well, that's part of it. But we all have talents, we all have abilities, we all have skills, and that's what you want your boy to understand. That as he has talent, as he has skills, he shares that with other people. He helps other people fulfill their goals. He helps other people fulfill their enjoyment by being skillful and sharing that skill with them. So it's that sharing process that you really want your son to learn from you as a father, and you do it as a teaching agent. And then the last point is accountability. Accountability. A man must be accountable to somebody. A boy must be accountable to somebody. And a boy is accountable to you as a father as you are accountable to your spouse or to someone else, your employer, perhaps. You see, accountability is part of life. And be able to learn from other people, be able to fess up to other people, able to benefit from other people as they talk and they share their life with us and we share our life with them. So accountability is part of the process of manhood. And Father, that's what your job is to bring that kid up into manhood. And these are some of the outcomes. These are some of the goals. These are some of the earmarks of what a man is, and that you're trying to bring that up in your boy so that he becomes that kind of a person. Now, if you need parenting help, remember, I have a book. My book is entitled Doctor Teach Me to Parent. Get that on Amazon, or you can get it from my website. But also that book has been written into a format of online learning called Parenting Better. It's the same material. It's from the book, and it's from these broadcasts that we have as we integrate that all together. and teach you how to be a better parent. So if you need to take a class or you'd like to take a class, you can do it online, $25 from Fresno Pacific University. And you can take it online, take it at your leisure, take it anytime that you're available to take it. And over the course of a couple weeks or a couple months, you pick up a course and you get a certificate at the end if you need a certificate to prove that you've taken it. So, parenting better. I recommend that, to you. And then one other thing. I do a podcast 3 times a week called The Psychology Report. And you can get that up at thepsychologyreport.buzzsprout.com. And there I talk about all kinds of aspects of psychology, including parenting, but also a lot of other topics in marriage and in emotional control and life goals and so on. So anything that relates to psychology is brought up in that program of the Psychology Report. So I recommend that you pick it up, as well. Now, here's an important topic to introduce today. Parents need a checkpoint. Dad, you need to check some things in your life. You need to check some things about you so that you become a better parent. You are a better parent. You're a better father by having checkpoints. There are certain things you don't do. There are certain things you control. There are certain things you limit about yourself so that you're effective in your parenting process. You're effective in your fathering of your boy. So let me give you a little list here of some of the things that you need to check. I call them parenting checkpoints. And here's one. Check your talk, Dad. Listen more. Sometimes we are prone to just talk and have people listen to us and we just go on and on and on and talking. No. There are times that you need to listen. And when you're dealing with your little boy and you're dealing with your son, no matter what age he is, he needs a person that listens to him. He needs somebody that stops talking to him, stops arguing with him, stops directing him, stops ordering him, but listens to him so that his voice is heard, his ideas are considered, his thoughts and his goals and his wishes are brought under consideration. Dad, you need to be a listener more than you need to be a talker. Now, listening is a hard skill to learn. Sometimes we have a hard time even learning that. But take a moment, stop talking, eye contact with your boy, and sit there and listen and let him dialogue with you. Let him have a little talk back and forth with you, and you zero in on what he's concerned about. Zero in on what he's concerned about. Zero in interest, whatever interest he has, zero in on that. So number one, check your talk and listen more, okay? Here's number 2. Check your emotions, Dad. There are times just to take a deep breath, to breathe deeply. It's easy as a dad to get mad, to get upset, to feel, you're overwhelmed. You got things that you're working on. You got things at the job that you're doing, and it's easy to get overwhelmed. But you need to check your emotions. When you start to feel angry, when you start to feel nervous, when you start to feel anxious, when you start to feel irritable, restless, whatever it might be, check that. Check it. Park it somewhere. Just park it somewhere. Take a deep breath, and then just deal with the issues at home that you have to deal with. But in a calm way, in a matter of fact that it's a way that you bring people towards you, bring people into your life, rather than to push them away because of your strong emotions. Strong emotions need to be checked. And we check it by taking a deep breath and then dealing with the issues that we have to deal with in the home and with our kids, and particularly our son. Okay, that's number 2. Here's number 3. Check your limits. Check your limits. In other words, be reasonable. There are times when you can overreact. There are times when you yell. There are times when you just get mad and you overreact. Check, there's a limit to that. There's a limit to your anger. There's a limit to your frustration. There's a limit to your irritability. Stop. But just be reasonable. Deal with your kid in a reasonable way. If you have to punish, punish reasonably. If you have to correct in some manner or help bring it under control, be reasonable about it. It's not emotional reactions that we want. We want reasonable reactions. Reason means that you've thought about it. Reason means that you are thinking about it. Reason means you're giving some thought to it, rather than just reacting emotionally as if there is no limit whatsoever. So check your limits, check your emotional limits, and be sure that you act and you respond and you deal with your kids, in particular your son, in a manner that's called reasonable. Now, here's another thing to check. Check your criticisms. Dad, it's easy to criticize. Criticize your kid, that's easy. There's always something about your kid that you don't like or that you're irritated with or bothers you in some way, and you want to criticize him. You know, check your criticism. Your kid doesn't need a lot of criticism. You know, he'll make mistakes, but let the mistakes speak for themselves. Let him learn from the mistakes that he makes, not necessarily just because you criticize him, he's going to learn. Let him learn from the mistake itself. Let him learn from the experience that he just had himself, so that he'll grow up learning more if he learns from his mistake than if he learns from the criticism that you give him because of that mistake. So be careful, Dad. Soften the criticism. Soften it. Reduce it. Minimize it. And let the mistakes speak for themselves. And just help the kid understand what he did and got him into this particular predicament or into this problem, and what he could have done to avoid it. That's teaching. That's giving alternative behaviors, not just criticizing. Okay? Now, here's another one. Again, checking your criticism, but let the natural consequences. You know, when a kid gets into trouble for some reason, not just that he's upset himself, but sometimes the teacher gives a consequence. Sometimes the police person gives a consequence. Sometimes a friend, a peer, melts out a consequence of some kind. Let the consequences be a teacher as well. Let the mistake be a teacher, and let the consequences of that mistake be a teacher. You don't need to do all the criticism. You don't need to do all the harping on it. But just make sure that the mistakes speak to the kid and that the consequences speak, and he learns from those so that that mistake isn't made in the future. And now also check your negativity, Dad. Check your negativity. Let love prevail. You know, you don't need to be so negative. Care a little bit. Let your kid know that you care. Let your kid know that you really feel for him and that you have a caring and a loving attitude, and you want to include him in that loving behavior that you have available for him. So stop being so negative. Listen to yourself. Listen to how many kind of criticisms you give per day. How many times you've said something negative to a kid, a kind of a downgrading kind of a talk in some way that you've given to your kid per day. Kind of keep track of that. And then stop that. Minimize that. We don't need negativity. Kids need to be built up. They need to be encouraged. So twist it. Turn it around and show what good could have come if we had done something a little bit differently. You see, if you criticize your kid, if you are very negative, the rule is this. It's a rule of 4. The rule says this, that if you criticize your kid, it's going to take you 4 compliments to overcome that one criticism. So, Dad, you got a big problem on your hands. If you are using negativity, for every negative statement, you got to come up with 4 positive statements to your kid to overcome that, to balance that. Now, maybe your kid needs 5. Maybe your kid needs 6 or 7. Who knows? But you need to find that out. But if you're using criticism to correct your kid and to have a relationship with your kid, stop it. But if you do it, then make sure that you also add a host of positive compliments so that the kid feels like you are not just negative, but that you're balancing positive and negative. And he'll be able to handle that, a lot better. So lastly, just check your blame. Your problem of your son is probably a failure of you as a father. Let me say it again, and you catch that, okay? The problem of your son, or the problems your son will have, or the problem your son experiences, is probably due to your failure as his father. Now, as the kid gets older, he has to take some responsibility himself. He's made some decisions himself. He's let other people influence him besides you. And he's come under the influence and the force of other people and other situations in life, you got to take responsibility for that. And you have to hold them accountable for that. But you have to look at it this way, Dad, that, if your kid's in trouble, if your kid's having a lot of trouble, look at your fathering. And perhaps you, as a father, have failed your kid in a lot of ways, and you need to kind of rebuild that process and build that back up again. We'll talk about that in just a little bit as we look at some other issues today in our program. So, what I'd like to do now is just kind of take another look at an issue that's very, very important in life of our kids and how you as a father relate to the kid, but also relate to their mother in front of him. How do you show a kid whether you love and respect his mother or not? And your relationship with the mother makes a big difference in how he sees you and what he learns from you and how to relate to women in his life as he grows up. So, Dad, you're teaching a very important behavior. As you relate to the child's mother, you're teaching him how to relate to women in his life as he increases in age and gets older. So let's take a look at that. I'll be with you in just a minute. Okay, let me come to your thoughts here on this topic of how do you deal with the mother of a child and be a teacher to your child, to your to your son in a very positive kind of way? Well, the issue is this. Don't undermine the mother. Don't undermine the mother. Dad, you got to be very careful on that. You are there to build up the mother, to enhance her abilities, to enhance her status, to enhance her presence, to enhance her influence on your son. Very, very important. But don't undermine her. Here's what kids will say. And this comes from a survey of kids on this particular topic. Kids do not want you to disagree with the mother in front of them. Did you catch that? Kids don't want you as the father to disagree with their mother in front of your son or in front of your kids. That sets a bad example. And what you're teaching your kid then is that they can disagree with their spouse or their female friend or whomever, their teacher, and so on. Don't disagree in front. You have your moments of discussion with the mother apart from the kid in another room at another time, and then you come and deal with the kid on a particular topic so that you can have a free discussion. But don't make your disagreements public in front of the kid. Okay, that's number one. Here's the second point. Don't tell your kid that you agree with him, but your mother does not agree with him. Now that sets up a real dualism. That sets up a real conflict. If you tell your kid on some particular topic that you agree with him, but unfortunately mother doesn't agree with him, now who is he going to believe? Who is he going to side with? Who is he going to have confidence in? Who is he going to trust? Who is he going to take one side or the other? He's in a dilemma. You put him in a dilemma, but you also put the mother in a dilemma. So don't do that kind of behavior. Don't tell your kid that you agree with him, but unfortunately and sadly, the mother doesn't agree with him. So how do you solve that problem? That's a dilemma you can't do, and please don't do that kind of thing. Here's the third point. Don't use mother as a threat. You know, I've heard it before. I'm going to tell your mother, or mother was, I'm going to tell your dad. Wait till your dad gets home. Wait till your mother gets home. Wait till your mother hears this. Wait till your mother and I talk about this. Boy, you'll really get it. That's a threat. And that's using mother as a threat. Don't do that. That's not fair. It's not kind. And it's certainly not just. So don't let your kid hear that kind of talk come from you, because that denigrates mother. That puts mother down and makes her into a real ogre as a person. So stop that kind of behavior. Don't use her as a threat in any kind of way. Here's another point. Keep a secret. Don't keep secrets. Don't keep a secret from the mother. Don't keep a secret from your kid. Don't keep a secret from anybody. Live a life that's open. But don't keep secrets from the mother if the kid did something that wasn't appropriate, or that the kid says, don't tell mom, then don't get into that situation. Yes, you're going to tell mom. Yes, you and mom are going to talk about it. Yes, you and mom are going to discuss the issue. Don't let the kid think that he can use you and separate you from the mother. That's not fair. It's not right. It's not just. It's not good parenting. So, Dad, no secrets. You tell mom everything. She tells you everything. You talk together about everything. But you're just and you're fair with your kid at the same time. Okay, here's another point. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie for your kid to your mother. If your kid says, don't tell mom, then don't go and make up a story. Don't go and make up a lie of some kind and then tell her that story rather than the real one. Don't do that kind of behavior. Don't lie to the mother for the kid. Kids will love that if you will lie. Kids will love if you don't tell your mother, their mother something. But that's not the way to have trust, not the way to build relationships. It's not the way to build a positive relationship between you and your child or between the mother and the child. You're tearing down those parent relationships when you lie. And kids know when you're lying. They know it. Then they're going to do the same thing. And that's how you teach lying behavior. And then you're not going to like that because then you're going to lie to you too. So stop that kind of behavior altogether. And kids will also say this, don't take my side in a dispute with mom. Don't take my side. Don't take the side of the kid in a dispute with mom. Now, kids would love that, of course. Kids always love, to have somebody on their side of an argument. But take the facts and then say, okay, mom and I will talk about it. We'll discuss it and we'll get back to you. And we'll come back to you with an answer. We'll come back to you with a discussion on the topic. We'll talk about it together, but let's mom and me talk about it first. So that's what you want to make sure, that you don't take your side, the side of your kid, in a dispute with mom. Now, help mom. If she's in a dispute with her kid, then you join in and say, okay, let's talk about that first, and let's come back, and then we'll talk to the kid about it. So you and mother have to be a team together, one-some, together, so that you work together on that particular problem that, has emerged in family life. And then here's one more. Dad, don't reduce the punishment that mother sets forth for a kid, for your son. If mother says that the punishment is XYZ, Dad, you support that. You encourage that. You back that up. Now, if you don't agree with it, then you and mom have to have a separate talk privately somewhere and then come out with an agreement as to what that punishment can be, should be, ought to be, and how it should be handled. But in front of the kid, don't argue with the mother about a punishment that she has decided upon for a kid because of some particular problem that occurred during the day. Mom's home. Mom was at on the site at the occasion of a fault or whatever happened, and she came up with a punishment. Well, you got to support that, Dad. But if you don't agree, if you don't really support it, then you and mom need to talk about it separately. So don't, in front of mom or in front of your kid, choose sides, okay? Don't reduce punishment. The punishment is what it is, unless you and mom have a mutual agreement, to do that. And then kids also say this, don't complain about mom to me. Don't complain about mom. Don't tell me all mom's faults and mom's problems and issues that she's struggling with. You don't need to make me your listening post. You see, that's not the way it is. Don't put down mother. Don't denigrate mother. Don't make mother look like she's got all kinds of problems to your kid. What your kid wants is a mother that is built up, that is made into a positive person in your life and in their life together. Mothers are to be reared or to be seen in a very positive light and are revered by you so that the mother will be revered by the kid. It's catchy. It's learning. It's modeling. It's the process of learning how to hold up mother in a positive light and teaching your kid to do the likewise, hold up his mother, her mother, in a positive light as well. And then last one, let me just say this. Kids say this, don't put down mom in front of me. Don't put down mom. Don't denigrate mom. Don't criticize mom. Don't give me all the faults of mom. Don't tell me all the problems, your complaints about mom and how you feel about mom. And don't tell me all that. That's not for me to hear. That's what kids are saying. You deal with mom on that particular point. You go and talk to her. But don't talk to me. I'm not your counselor. I'm not your social worker. I'm not your confidant. You see? That whenever you have a problem with mom or an issue with mom or whatever your issue is, you deal with mom about that. Don't bring that into my life as a child, as part of your life. That's not how to live as a family and to make family work together. So, Dad, be careful. Be careful in how you hold up their mother and your wife as a person of value and a person of importance and a person of integrity and a person that has value to the child, because you want the child to honor that mother. You want that child to obey the mother. You want that child to follow the mother and to use the mother as an example of life and how to live life. Don't push her aside or push her down. We can do that. You may have your problems with mom. You may have your issues with her. That may be. But don't bring your child into that. That's something you deal with you in your own way with as an adult. Go to counseling. Go to marriage counseling. Go have sessions with your wife and go talk and work it out. But don't involve the kid in that particular process, okay? Now, I think you got the point, Dad. Mom's important. And make sure that your son, your children, see mother as an important and valued person also. And the higher the value, the better. Okay? That's your job. Give her self-esteem. Help the child build self-esteem in his view of the mother. Okay? Now, let me shift the topic here a little bit and talk about something else that I think is very important. As a father, it's important that you help your child develop personal esteem, personal confidence. Have confidence in himself. That's extremely important. You know, you want the son to love his mother and to honor his mother and to obey his mother. That's true. You want the son to honor you and to obey you. That's true. But you also want a son that has a confidence in himself. And to build that confidence is your job. Your job, Dad, is to help your son build confidence. And here's a couple ways that you do it, okay? Let me just give you a kind of a quickie off this one, all right? By your words and your expressions, you can help your son develop a sense of confidence. Here's how you do it. You say to your kid words and phrases such as, "You can do it. I'm proud of you. You're my hero. You are really creative. You're a great kid. People love you. People want to be with you. I love you. I respect you. I think you're good. I think you're great. I think you got a great mind. I think you have good problem-solving skills. You have good communication skills," and so on and so on and so on. Build up your kid in his confidence with the words and the expressions that you use towards him and with him. Tell him how good he is, how excellent he is, because that gives him that sense of personal confidence. So use the words that you have, use the phrases that you have, and give that kid a sense of personal confidence. Okay, here's the second one. By your actions, you can act in a certain way that will result in your kid developing a confidence. Here's an action. When you reward a child, give him a hug. Include a hug with it. There's a little bit more confidence than just saying, "Good, you did a good job." But when you hug that kid, he takes an extra special message from it. It's called the step-up theory. The step-up. Compliment, but give him a hug as well. Step it up. Give him two messages at the same time for something. Or you might say, when you praise a child for something, give him a pat on the back. Or when you have talked with him, you've chatted with him for a while and you've appreciated that, include a touch with that. Include a touch. Just hold his hand, hold his arm, put your hand on his shoulder. Step it up just a little bit. Not just words, but that sense of touch as well. That builds better confidence. Even when you're disciplining, even if you have to kind of correct or you have to discipline, hold his hand when you do that. Hold his arm when you do that. Put your hand on his shoulder when you do that. Hug afterwards. Make a physical contact, as well. When you compliment a kid and you have put a physical touch to that, that message is greater than if you just gave the words by themselves. So step it up. Give the compliment, but also give that sense of touch, okay? That helps build confidence in your son for himself. And then some of the actions, some of the things that you do with your kids, some of the activities that you do with your boy. You can use that to develop some confidence in him. Here's the way. When you play a game, you might play a table game. Let him win. Not all the time, though. Not always, because he has to learn how to he has to learn how to lose as well. So, but at times, help him win. Let him win. And maybe that would be a way for him to develop a little bit of confidence there. If you've had a game that you played together, tell him afterwards that it was fun. You enjoyed it. You had fun playing with him. He was a great kid. He was a great contestant. He was a great opposition to you. He was a great team player. He was a great ball player, but you want to give him that sense of what he can do and what he can accomplish and what you're proud of him for doing, okay? Or just give him a lot of compliments. Just pepper it on. Just give him compliment after compliment. Give him lots of them. That builds confidence in itself. But if he helps you do something, if he helps you achieve something, thank him for that, okay? Tell him that was great. Tell him that was good. You enjoyed working with him, or you are happy that he helped you, or you really appreciated his help. You really are very happy for what he did, to help you accomplish a particular task or a goal that you were trying, to do. So, you see, Dad, there are lots of ways that you can be the confidence builder in your kid's life. Okay? Now, let me just take a moment and talk about stepfathers. We haven't talked about stepfathers at all in these 8 sessions that we've had together. And stepfathers is part of life. Stepfathers are part of a relationship that many, many boys have. Now, I don't like the word stepfather. I don't like that. You're a parent. You're a father to that child. You're not the primary biological parent, that's true. But you're a father to that kid. You're a parent to that kid. You're a male parent to that kid. So see yourself as having value if you're going to play that role in the child's life and come into a child's life in what we now sometimes refer to as the stepfather and the role of the stepfather. Let me just tick off a couple things that are very, very important to you if you're a stepfather. You made the decision to marry the child's mother. You made that decision. The children do not make decisions. Your child doesn't make decisions. The mother's child doesn't make the decision. Children don't make that decision that whether the two of you should get together or not. But you made the decision, and you have to understand that you own that decision and that you are going to make the very best of that decision. And you're going to include the kids in a step-parenting role and a step-child role in your life as well. So make sure that you own the responsibility of making that decision, and that you're going to make it work for you. You make it work for the mother of the child. You're going to make it work for the children as well. Here's another point. Children take time to accept and adjust to a new mother or to a new father. It takes time. I've seen that happen over 5 years. I've seen it happen over 5 months. My guess is that it's closer to a year, closer to 2 years, that it takes a child to accept a new parent into his life. So if you come into the life of a child as a stepfather, it's going to take time for that kid to accept you, and you're going to have to work at it. You have to work at it hard, and there are things that you need to do. but it's going to take time. Don't think that just because you come into the child's life, he's going to accept you and going to honor you and going to believe you and obey you. Not necessarily. And here's the third point. As a new parent into the life of a child, step parent, you do not take the place of the former parent. You're only an additional parent. You're an add-on parent, if you will. You're another parent in the life of that child. And you have to make yourself welcome. You have to make yourself accepted. But that child has a relationship with his own father, with his own mother. And he needs to know that those relationships are not going to be disturbed, not going to be removed. But you're going to be a kind of an add-on parent, if you think of it that sense. I like that much better than a step. It's more of an add-on, but you're another parent in the life of that child. Think of it that way. Children have their own loyalties, you know. They have their loyalty with their mother. They have their loyalty with their father. They will build some kind of loyalty with you over time. But that loyalty will prevail. You have to honor that loyalty. You know, the mother may have a different feeling towards the father, but the kid has his own feelings towards that father. He has his own loyalties towards his own father or his own mother. And you come in on that, and you have to build your own sense of loyalty, you know, with that child. And kids will compare you to their natural father. Kids always compare a step parent to a natural parent. They have their own ways of comparing. They have their own ways of setting up values and who's important and who's less important and who do I give time to and who do I obey and who do I respect and so on. They think that thing through, and they know kids will make that decision. You can't make it for them. All you can do is be an honorable parent, an honorable person in the life of that child, and draw that child into your life and build your own new sense of loyalty with that child. And then lastly, all parents must communicate. All parents must communicate. You know, you come into a relationship, you got to lots of things to talk about. Marriage counseling, family therapy, individual therapy, therapy for the kids. Use professional help as a way to make that parenting, that step parenting role work and work well. Now, before we end today, I always have a question that comes to my attention and I just like to comment on. And here's a question that came in, and it relates to something that I said in the beginning today. So let's tie these things together. Here's the question. If I failed my son or if I failed my daughter during their childhood, can I make it up to them and restore our relationship? Now, that's a profound question. If I failed my son during early childhood, can I make it up to them? Can I make it up to him and restore that relationship? The answer is no. You goofed. You made a mistake. That has been a hurt. That's been a trauma to that child. That's been a deep wound in the life of that child because you failed as a father. Unfortunately, you hurt the kid. And you got to take responsibility for that, Dad. Now, why you did it, who knows? But the point is, you're responsible for that. You need to go through an act of forgiveness. You need to go through an act of confession. You need to go through an act of asking for reconsideration and reconciliation with your child. You see what? You can't make up for what you didn't do or what you did wrong. You can't redo that. But here's what you can do. You can start over. You can have a new beginning point. You can drive a stake in the ground and say, okay, that's my new beginning point. And from here on, I'm going to be a different person. From here on, I'm going to be a different father. From here on, I'm going to be a different parent. From here on, I'm going to be different in your life. And I'm going to have a life that you can respect rather than one that you are angry about. You see, it's a new beginning. That you can have. So you can touch and go, if you will. But you got to have a new beginning point, and that starts with reconciliation. That starts with forgiveness. You see, kids will forgive. Kids forgive. But here's the deal. Kids don't trust you very quickly again in the future. Somebody has said it this way, forgiveness you can do today, but trust is like a turtle. It's like a snail. It moves very slowly. It takes time. It may take you years and years to build a trust with your child once you've broken it. even if he's forgiven you. You see, kids don't just automatically now pick up the trust. That you're going to have to earn back. You're going to have to win that back, and that's your job. No more failures. No more letdowns. No more broken promises. You do what you say, and your kid will begin the process of forgiving and trusting you once again. Well, there we are. Hey, thanks for today. Glad you joined us. And again, if you've missed any of our programs, this is number 8 today. If you've missed any of our programs, pick them up 1 to 7. Go back into YouTube, pick up some of the programs, and rebuild your relationship with your kids. Build it stronger, build it better, and be a better father, be a better parent, and make sure you have a boy that becomes a man and doesn't get waylaid in the middle of the stream in the process of that, okay? It's your job, Dad. Take it seriously and do it well. Bye for now.
The Green Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living in secured homes for elderly with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-297-9438 and visit greengablescarehome.com.